I was watching some random top 10 hardest games of all time on YouTube because I felt like I was good at games for some reason. I was like, yeah, I have 1,000 freaking hours on Geometry Dash. Let's freaking go. I can game. And Dark Souls being one of those on the list, which is factually a wrong statement to say it's in the top 10 hardest games. It's really not that hard if you really think about it compared to some other games, and it's a really unvalidated list, just like all other top 10 lists on YouTube, Joe. I'm not making a video on top 10 lists, though. I don't want to. Lol. So anyways, I noticed that I actually had Dark Souls from my brother having it and playing it in the past. So I decided to boot it up and play through it. It looked cool, and because it was hard and looked cool, I'd say that was the perfect game for me to try. And oh boy, I had no idea I'd spend the next 3 or so months spending 80 or so hours just playing through the game twice, and then later going on to buy Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne just to play the rest of the series. And I have currently, as of filming the Dark Souls 1 video that I am right now, have just been right behind defeating the final boss to Dark Souls 3, and that's just how you know when I'm recording this compared to Dark Souls 3 when I talk about it. But Dark Souls 1 had all these cool areas. I thought, honestly, it was some sort of sci-fi thing. I remember seeing the pinwheel fight and just, like, I thought there was a window or something looking down on a city for some reason. My mind played tricks on me that day. That got me to pick up the game. I also saw the Caprica Demon. I thought I knew what game it was. Boy, was I wrong. Very different game. I ended up looking up a guide on how to defeat the first tutorial boss. But after I got through that, the game just was great. Yeah, I got mad at it. I died a crap ton. But it was a great game. There was so much to talk about for it. First off, when you start up, there's 2 different ways you can go that would actually progress you. And first thing I did was go to the catacombs and die. And then I went downwards, and because I picked the master key, because I'm not a freaking retard who would fall for something like a stupid ring over a freaking key that unlocks doors in any part of the game. It's like, it's logically better. How would you fall for it? You're a stupid noob. Stop complaining about it. Anyways, so went down there, I opened up the door, and I went to Blighttown, and I left that place so fast. I got the red cloth set thing. I'll pull up the set on an image here. But anyways, so I got that, and then I went through the upper route instead, and it was much easier, of course, because you're supposed to do it first normally for your first time. At least that's what everyone seems to think. So yeah, I went through there. I made my way towards the second boss, and I beat it 3rd or 4th try. And then I visited Havel, and I was greeted by many deaths. I skipped that boy. He's a stupid freaking piece of crap. You try to fight Havel your first playthrough of the entire franchise. You ain't winning. You ain't winning 1 second of your life from there. Boy. Anyways, I got past there, and I went to the place with the dragon. Of course, I ran past and somehow survived. I kicked down the stupid ladder, and I made my way to the place with the boar that rams into you. Got up the stairs, and boy, it's great. It's great, real great. So basically, gotta kill the dudes. I fell down. I died multiple times. I don't know why I have a country accent. I don't know. I'm being weird with my voice. Anyways, so I went down. I finally discovered the staircase, and I made my way through, killed all the dudes after a third try or something, and I made my way. I stealth killed the 2 guard people. That felt great. That was the first good kill I got in the entire playthrough. I went through, opened up the shortcut, and I was amazed at how they handled that. I just went all the way through that, and I took a shortcut all the way to the hub point. Now, I know it seems like I'm just giving a play-by-play of what I did, but there was just so much to talk about. That's just the first hour playing or something. Hour and a half. I spent 80 hours on this game. But there's so much to talk about. There's so many things they do. There's so many unique places. There's so many enemies that I died to that I hate. There was so much to explore, and it was always neat to see how they handled the backtracking system as well. And they do this throughout the series, and the games get harder, trust me, except for Dark Souls 2. The easiest game in the series. I don't hate the game, it's just easy. That's all I'm saying. Don't make some long essay saying, you think Dark Souls 2 is bad, but I disagree, and here's why. Don't waste your time. I like Dark Souls 2. I couldn't care less about your long essay saying that Dark Souls 2 is the greatest thing to ever touch Earth. So yeah. Anyways, that was Dark Souls 1. And there were so many bosses I'd summoned on, yes. But even then, I failed the challenge. It was a great game. Get that game and play it. I got the remaster in like the first week it came out on the Switch. Great game. I played it 3 times now. Just get the game. That's all I have to say. Now we move on to Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is a much easier game. And I honestly got Dark Souls 2 while I was still finishing Dark Souls 1, and I got stuck on it on the first area because I didn't know how to find like the route of the first area to get to the boss of the start. I didn't even know how to do that because I'm stupid. So after finishing Dark Souls 1, I went back after spending about 15 or so minutes. I found the path. I never forgot it after that. And I made my way through the area. It was pretty dang easy. Much easier than Dark Souls 1. I have to say this 5 times so you take note. Anyways, basically the game handles bosses a lot differently. Instead of fighting huge beasts, you're fighting a bunch of random, like, guards or something. It's different. It's easier. But the PvP experience, that's the reason I come back to the game, boy. There's tons of just great, memorable bosses and areas in the game. Still just as every other game in the series. And honestly, it's underrated. A lot of people, even in the Dark Souls community, really just didn't get behind Dark Souls 2 the most out of the games, even though it has a great online experience and it's a great game in general, and I still recommend it to everyone. Now, you may notice that there's a whole lot less that I have to say about Dark Souls 2, but that's because Dark Souls 1 captures a very similar experience, and I didn't feel the need to go in depth about the starting experience to Dark Souls 2 because it's the same points. Bloodborne is very, very different from those two games, both in theme and gameplay. And let me just tell you, removing shields, great idea. I hated it at first, but now I still hate it, but I know why it's there, why they did that, and I appreciate it. It improved my style of combat. I was more aggressive. I was forced to be more aggressive, but the entire aggressive nature of all enemies and you in the game really made a lot of people enjoy the entire Dark Souls franchise after they played Bloodborne. And it has a gothic tone very different to the medieval tone of the previous games and the games after. And it just does a whole lot different from the other games. The types of healing, the way they heal, that's annoying. It's still a good concept, though. I didn't have a problem with healing like most other people did. They also have the Chalice dungeons now, which is repeatable dungeons to get better upgrades and whatnot to your weapons, which added a little more replayability. I would say that, sort of. That was a cool concept. I do think the dungeons are kind of lackluster until a certain point, though. They were very easy, and then they got stupidly hard at, like, one certain level. Basically, it went from one-shotting enemies to dying 5 times. It was pretty great. Really liked those dungeons. I loved Gascoigne, was a very fun fight. Gehrman, actually, a lot of people found Gehrman to be just as hard as every other boss in the game, and a very fun and challenging boss fight. I screwed that guy over after my first playthrough. Second and third, easy. Boy, that was great game. Great game. Easy game. I still hate Viscera Amelia on New Game Plus. Broken. Heals and then slam dunks you. Great experience. I'll get back to you on Dark Souls 3 when I'm done with that. That's the video. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.